just going to be a short video running through the TRENDMASTER details and the settings, so we can just synchronize and get on the same page here with regards to working top down. So for the TRENDMASTER Pro, I mean, there's a few different indicators that we've got going on here, but the main one is going to be the TRENDMASTER Pro here. So when it comes out of the box, it's basically going to look something like so. If we just open up the settings, you'll see everything's kind of set up like this. I didn't program the indicator to just work out of the box. So you do have to, almost engage with me to get the correct settings and just get this set up right. So what we can do is we can just turn this one off and put the correct one back on. And then I'll open up the settings and you can just see the values. So first things first, scale back, green and red there, boundary turned off, wave turned off. And just to confirm, this is the daily chart. So then some of the thickness of the lines I like as well. So you've got the scalp at 2, got the low tide at 2, and then the high tide is a bit thicker at 3, which should be. You can't quite see that at the bottom. So these are the levels at the top here, and then we'll just scroll down and turn off all of the alerts, signals, leave the scalp cloud on, high tide cloud on. Okay, so they can be turned off, but I just like the visual of that. Okay, so that's the daily chart. I mean, the Overwatch is pretty much the same scenario as well, but I set that to 50. Okay, so let's move down to the lower time frame. So as you can see, this looks very different to the other one. And you'll see here are the settings. The settings are similar. 21:30, 21, 21, 21, and then 4:16, 16 for day. The style, got the scalper, got the wave on this one. Same, line thickness 2, line thickness 1. In fact, I think we can turn that wave off. Okay, low tide thickness 2, high tide thickness 3. Okay, cool. So we've got the signals turned off there. Scalp cloud on, high tide cloud on. Okay, so that's the 4 hour. Let's move on to the 1 hour. Okay, so as you can see, this TRENDMASTER looks very different to the opposite one, and let me just explain some of the details here, because this is an intraday chart, and I want this 1 hour chart to look different to the 4 hour chart. Okay, so what we've got here is almost like 3 different filters. The daily is like a high tide level, so that's like a very zoomed out bigger picture, and then we've got a more zoomed in bigger picture, which is the low tide. That's the 4 hour. So we've had daily, 4 hour, and now we're going down into the intraday, which is the 1 hour, which is going to give us a middle ground between the high time frames and those entry charts. Okay, so it almost gives us this final filter before we're going to look for entries. So when we look at the inputs are different. Okay, so we've got the scalper, we've got the boundary on a 9, and in fact, I'm not too sure. You see, on the low time frames, I'm stuck between 9 and 13. So you can play with this, but as you can see, when I've adjusted this to 9 to 13, you can see that top there. Okay, and this is what the TRENDMASTER is going to do. It's going to lock price into these envelopes, and then we can start to look to take directions. It's basically like range trading, but within the TRENDMASTER Pro levels. So an example would be up the top here. As it's fallen in, it's kind of being wedged. Then it wedges down, and it's kind of hanging down below here, and then it comes back up. So when it fits into some of these envelopes and it's getting wedged, these are where trades could be taken. And you can see here it's moved back down to the scalper level, and it's doing something there. Okay, so either 13 or 9. And when we start to look at the 9, you can see back here at a specific point like so, coming up, touching, and then falling back down. You can see these wicks in the envelope here. So you could adjust this. So for example, this could be 13. So this could be 13, and that could be 9. And then you'll see here the wave touching, and then pretty much all bases are covered there. So I think I'm going to leave this like so. And then what we can do on this is good actually, we can turn that low tide on. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good. So let's just go over these 1 hour details here. So on the inputs, scalper 21, boundary 9, wave 13, low tide, high tide. Okay, we've got 14416. We'll turn this off. And then we've got scalper, boundary turned off, wave, low tide, high tide. I'm just going to change some of the thicknesses on these intraday because they are a bit too powerful. So just make these on the singular, and then we'll leave the high tide on the 2, but it's faded out. So with regards to the clouds, pretty much they're all turned off apart from the scalp cloud. So there's a couple of ways you can play with this to make it appeal to your visual. So for example, we could have something like so. Okay, and this just gives it a nice clean colour into the trend. But because I have multiple charts open at one time, I don't really need to have the trend on here, so I just keep that turned off. Okay, so that's that. So this ripple entry chart is a bit squeezed in, and I just wanted to show you how the TRENDMASTER looks. And it's similar to the wave chart. So this is a ripple. We've got the high tide kind of faded out. We've got the low tide envelope wave, and then we've got the scalper with the boundary envelope attached to that. So we'll go ahead and open that. By the way, the Overwatch is the same setting for every single chart. It's just on the daily chart, 4 hour, 1 hour, and 15. So that's all good. So the ripple chart, scalper, wave, low tide, high tide. The high tides are faded out at like between 5 and 10% opacity. Then when we scroll down, I've just got the scalp cloud and the low tide cloud on. Okay, so that's the ripple chart. The only other thing is the Bitcoin session. The Bitcoin session timings, and you can see, this is an additional indicator, and you can pretty much fit 3 indicators onto a pro membership, and then that way you can get custom time frames. So like the 16-hour, which gives us a low tide settings. If you haven't got a pro, then you're just going to have to deal with the high tide. So deal with 15, 1 hour, 4 hour, then daily chart. The Bitcoin session is going on to the Ripple chart, and it just gives us these insights into the volume, where the volume's coming in. Okay, so this is when a lot of the volume's going to be initiated. So yeah, the Bitcoin session indicator is just a cool little indicator, just to signal, okay, volume could be coming in, but because this is Bitcoin, it's 24/7. There are going to be moves outside of these sessions. It's not like Forex, so just be aware. So the Bitcoin session is just a nice little visual I like to use, and that's pretty much free. I'm giving out that for free. But the TRENDMASTER Pro now and the Overwatch, it's going to come at a small cost if anybody wants it. You can see this is working. We're making money with it now. It's refined now. The rules are set. Before when I was programming it and I could give it out for free, I was expecting people to just help me use it, just use it a bit, ask some questions. We can work out some issues together and find some good settings together, and then happily give that out for free. But now there's going to be a small cost attached to it. A little Bitcoin payment or USDT payment would be very nice. So we're going to get that going. Okay, so we've covered all the different settings now for the high tide chart, low tide chart, wave chart, and ripple entry charts. Pretty much you should have all of the things needed now. So it's just all about monitoring it, using it, learning how to enter into these probability positions. Okay, so that's all the settings for all the different top-down charts. You can program those to your visual preferences, and start to make some serious moves. But what I do say is that anybody with the free TRENDMASTER, the free TRENDMASTER indicators, if you do get any setups or find cool things, post them in the alpha chat, and we can all share. Okay, so over and out. Cheers.